Welcome to our next video in our Enneagram series. We are doing a sequence focused on the Enneagram 2s today, which I love the Enneagram 2s. These are the people who take care of us, and they're just so loving and so awesome. If you are not sure what the Enneagram is and what your type is, please refer to our orientation video and feel free to take a personality test or research about the types. You don't even have to take the test. You should be able just to read the descriptions and figure out which one you are. If you're not an Enneagram 2, that's fine. You're welcome to do this sequence as well. This is really a sequence for anyone. I feel like every person can access, the types in certain times of our life. So even if you're not a 2, you probably know one, or you have flavors of 2 that you can access yourself. So we are going to get started. We're going to do a lot of grounding poses today, a lot of lower body work today. It's going to be really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter into this time with some breathing. So you're going to go ahead and find an easy seat here on the ground. And 2, since you like what you know and you like what's comfortable, go ahead and swap legs to have the opposite leg in front. We're just going to start to get ourselves out of our shells a little bit and into this space and just kind of change things up a bit. So shoulders are back and down. We've got a nice, strong posture, soft front, strong back. And just go ahead and notice the breath. Don't have to change anything about it. We're just going to pay attention to it. I'm going to invite you to, if you are comfortable placing your hands on your belly, you're welcome to leave them on the knees. But what we're trying to do here is sense that movement as we fill our lungs up with air. The diaphragm is going to really engage, and it's going to give us this movement in our bellies. Again, totally optional here. What we're really going for is just a deepening of the breath. Nice, deep, full breaths here. And let's take now the 3 deepest breaths that you've taken all day. In through the nose, and out through the nose. Filling up our lungs all the way to the bottom. And slowly letting the air out. Making our exhales longer than our inhales. Beautiful. Once you finish that breath, I would like you to take your hands at a prayer pose at the heart. We're going to open with just a brief meditation. You can continue to breathe. You can close your eyes if that's available to you today. And let's just reflect on these words together. These words are applicable to everybody, but I think they're especially poignant for 2s. I am worthy of love. My presence is wanted in the world. I'm going to say that a couple more times. Just really embrace those words and let them wash over you as our hope, our mission, goal for ourselves today. I am worthy of love. My presence is wanted in the world. I am worthy of love. My presence is wanted in the world. Beautiful. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a seated cat-cow. So we're going to have our hands on our knees. And as we do in tabletop position, we're going to be arching our back a certain direction. So when we inhale, we're going to lift up our hearts, putting a little bend in our back. And when we exhale, we're going to let it go. Inhale, arching the back one way. Exhale, arching it the other. Let's take a few rotations of that at your own breath cycle. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, arching back. Beautiful. What we're going to do is we're going to take our feet and extend them in front of ourselves, placing the soles of our feet together, coming into our cobbler pose. So you can grab shins, ankles, toes, whatever's accessible to you today. And we're just going to lean and bending from the hips into that cobbler pose. Beautiful. Eyes can just gaze downward here. Leaning in, we can kind of press into the legs here. You can also adjust how far away your feet are. Now we're going to come into our cobbler pose. So you're going to take your feet, place the soles of the feet together in front of you. You can grasp shins, ankles, toes, whatever's available to you today. And we're just going to lean, bending from the hips like a hinge, into this pose. You're going to feel this, especially if we're bending from the hips and not bending from the back. You're going to feel that right here in that inner quad groin area. Just kind of lean in. You can gaze downwards towards the ground. And with the breath, if it's available, you can sink in a little deeper, remembering that discomfort is different from pain. We never engage in pain. We always back out of poses that cause us any pain or burning or stinging. But discomfort, that is the opportunity for growth. Awesome. Slowly coming out of that. We're now going to go into Marichyasana. So we're going to stick out one leg. My left leg is extended and my right sole of my foot is coming to the inside of my leg. And we're actually going to take that right foot and place it on the ground. I was thinking of a different one. So we're here. We're making it. All right. Leg extended. This one firmly placed on the ground. This can be where you stay if you'd like. You can even try to reach for that foot. Or you can take a bind. So I'm going to take my right hand, bringing it around my leg, bringing the left hand behind me, and grasping hands if it's available to you. There should not be any like straining or reaching that causes any kind of pain. Again, we're listening to our bodies today. Twos are like our heroes or our warriors. They're just taking good care of us. We want to make sure we take good care of our bodies too. So we're sitting, watching the hips, making sure that they're neutral. Again, if you can't be in the bind, you can just kind of reach. If you can clasp hands, great, or you can simply lean into that pose. Stay here for just a moment. And slowly coming out, we're going to do the same thing other side. So we're going to extend the right leg, placing the left foot down on the ground. And again, if this is what we have today, that's great. We meet our body where it's at. You can simply reach forward, or you can bring that left arm around the left knee and grab from behind for a bind. Breathe into the pose. Awesome. Coming out of the pose, we're going to come back with our feet on the ground, cross the shins, and transition into a tabletop position. Our hands are directly below our shoulders. Our knees are directly below our hips. Maybe sway side to side. Maybe take a few cat-cows here if that feels good to you. And when you're ready, you can tuck those toes in, shoot the hips back and away for downward facing dog. Maybe pedal it out here. If you're like me, this is your first real stretch of the day, so we need to take care of those muscles, which are still a little cold. That's why it's helpful to warm up. Awesome. What we're going to do is we're going to walk to the top of our mat, which my top of my mat's actually over here. Meet me in forward fold. And we're going to transition into some sun salutation. So what we're going to do is we're going to slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. Bring the palms to heart center. Beautiful. We're at the top of our mat. We're going to enter into our sun salutation. So we're going to breathe in, Sitting low in chair pose. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, coming for low plank, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, back down, chaturanga. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale, stepping forward with the left foot. Standing tall to warrior one. Let's hang out here for a second, catch our breath. And on our next inhale, we're going to float the hands down. Sitting back to downward dog. Coming into chaturanga. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pushing the hips back and away, driving the heels down. Walking the feet forward. Slowly rolling up. And bringing the palms to heart center. Let's do that again. We're going to breathe in, sitting in chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Flat backs here. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, back down to the floor. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, stepping that right foot forward. Inhale, coming up for warrior one. Hang out here for a second, catching our breath. Knees over the ankle, nice and stacked, engaging the back outer edge of that back foot. And on your next inhale, floating the hands down. Stepping back into downward facing dog. Inhale, chaturanga. Exhale, cobra pose. Inhale, shooting back up to downward facing dog. Next breath, walking the feet forward. Hang out here for just a moment. Inhale, sitting low into chair pose. Exhale, extending. Inhale, coming back for Samasthihi. Beautiful. Whew. I might have done some variations on that sun salutation. You know, it happens. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a forward fold. I'm going to orient myself this way. You can hang out at the top of your mat if you'd like. So let's come back down into a forward fold. Maybe grab the elbows. Stay here for a second. Place the hands on the ground. I want you to step your feet out a little wider than your hips, turning the toes outward. And then we're going to sit in the air. Now, this is where you might need a block. If so, you can have the block at any level. You can sit on it. This is Malasana, what we're coming into. So you're going to have your hips hovering above the ground and you're sitting low into the pose. So this is one variation. You could also use a blanket if you'd like, or you can simply hang out here like this. This is a great pose. Opening up the hips. We're going to hang out here for a second. The object is to have the heels on the ground. Again, if we feel like we can't access the ground, this is where a block is going to be basically necessary to make sure that we don't fall out of the pose and keep our body nice and protected. Beautiful. Hang out here for a second. Awesome. When you're ready, we're going to open up to the right side, placing the left hand down on the ground, lifting the right arm and looking to the side. Try to open the chest. Keep your thumb in your line of vision. Bringing that hand down to meet the other. Stay here for a second. Now we're going to open up the left side body, lifting that left hand, keeping that right hand down to help us hold. Doing a little twist here. And again, the thumb is in our line of vision. Engaging the core as well, not letting it just sit there. Using our muscles to help us. And bringing that hand down to meet the other. Beautiful. What we're going to do now is we're going to come into a high plank. So we're going to walk our hands up towards the top of our mat. I'm facing the bottom of the mat. That's okay. Hands are directly below shoulders. Nice long line with the body. We're in high plank. And once you're there, push back into downward facing dog, driving the heels down towards the floor. Hips are shifted backwards. Make some space between the shoulders and the ears. We don't want shoulders up by the ears. We want to have nice broad shoulders. Engage the core. Awesome. On your next inhale, we're going to lift the foot. And we're going to step it way, way, way forward towards the edge of our mat. Our right foot next to our right hand. So way far forward for lizard pose. Go ahead and drum. That left knee, again, feel free to use blocks here in your hand or blankets under the knee. Awesome. We're coming into lizard pose. We're going to stay here for a second. It's a very deep stretch. So it's going to take us a second for our body to recognize we're not going beyond our capabilities. Remember, props are our friends. We might stay here for a second, watching the breath. Even play with it a little bit, opening up that hip, sinking into that. Whew. Feels really nice. It is an intense stretch. If available, you can grab the back foot. That is optional. Nice, slow, steady breaths here. Keep weight on that outside foot, not all the weight on the front wrist. We want to make sure we're distributing the weight well. Probably saw my furry assistant just walk through. His name is Ham, if you were curious. If you were grabbing your foot, you can release it. Bring that other hand to meet next to that foot. You can tuck the back toes in, lifting up that knee, sliding the front foot back for high plank. Woo! Hang out here for a second. Awesome. Now, here's where it's going to get really fun. We are going to do a side plank. So you're going to stack the feet. This is option one. Stacking the feet, keeping the body nice and lifted, hand here. Other option, you can have one foot down. I've got my right foot down with my left leg extended. Pick the one that works for you. Or you can have your left knee down. Whichever one works for you for side plank. Beautiful. If you have both legs lifted, you can take this moment to open up your side plank, bringing that foot down. Woo. And slowly going back into a high plank. And then coming into tabletop. And let's take a child's pose here. Woo! I felt that one. I don't know about y'all. Wow. All right. Walk ourselves back up. What we're going to do now, we're going to take the same thing on the other side. So I want you to come back into your high plank. I'm going to orient myself differently so you can see me. You don't have to do that. Step back into high plank. You want to take a down dog here for a moment. Feel free. Pedaling it out. Meet me in high plank. Beautiful. Now we're going to all take a down dog, shifting those hips back. Maybe pedaling the feet. Whoop, lifting that heel up. I found the wall. If you're practicing in a small space like me, that's going to happen. Shooting that knee forward, bringing the left foot out to the outer edge of the mat. Right knee can come down for lizard pose on the other side. Beautiful. Again, play with it here if you want to lean into it, if you want to rock a little. No worries. Listen to what your body needs today. Fun fact, if your wrists start to bother you, you can take fists. That's okay too. So you're going to give your wrists a break. I know it's a lot of planking that we're doing. You could take fists or feel free to use blocks. Beautiful. If you would like, you can grab that back foot. And we're wrapping the ribs back, keeping a nice open chest. If you grabbed your foot, you can release. You can also tuck those back toes in, lift the back knee, slide that foot back to meet you, coming back into high plank. Now, you know what's coming next. We're moving into a side plank. Okay, so I'm going to orient myself. First option, stacking the feet for side plank. You could also have your leg crossed in front. My left leg is stabilizing me. You could also have your right knee down on the ground. Find the one that works for you. Feel free to use blocks. If side plank is just not accessible to you, feel free to just take child's pose, or you can stay in a high plank, knees down. It's always an option. Stay here for a second. And again, if available to you, you can open up that plank by putting that left foot down behind, extending that left arm. Bringing that arm back. Meet me in high plank. Woo. Engaging the core and shooting the hips back, downward facing dog. And dropping the knees down, taking child's pose. Speaking of dog. Oh my goodness. Woo. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to feel that one tomorrow. Beautiful. So, we've opened up our hip flexors. We're now going to move into our peak pose, which is hero pose. I picked this because the twos are the real heroes, you know. They take care of us so well. So we're going to honor them with a little hero pose. Now, before you do anything, let me tell you a little bit about what this pose is going to be. So, it looks like you're sitting directly on your feet. You're actually going to have your feet alongside your hips. So, kind of like your ankles, your heels are next to your thighs. So that's what we've got going on here. Options. First, take a block, put it under your hips if you need to. Same thing with blanket. If you can't bend your knees like that, you can always extend them. You can just do this version here. Or blanket or towel between the legs like so. Plenty of options, plenty of things to do to make this a little more accessible for you. There's no perfect way or right way. Find what works for you. So let's go ahead and take our hero pose. I'll give you a second to find the option that works for you. Awesome. Especially those of you with knee issues, please feel free to just let this one, ride this one out, take any props you need, or simply enjoy and watch. No worries. And like I said, having yourself just sitting on the knees is okay. Knees under. I mean, again, that's why these blocks and props are so good, because you can use them in a million different ways. Now, I'm going to check my own alignment here. I noticed myself kind of collapsing in. What we need to do is bring the shoulders back and down. Neck is in line with the spine. Breathing into the pose. Nice straight back. Imagine someone's taking a string. It's connected down your spine through the top of your head and pulling on it gently. Also imagine you've got like a tennis ball under your neck. You want to make sure it doesn't roll away. Awesome. Now, bonus. You don't have to do this, but what you can do is recline in your hero pose. I'm going to try to do this without falling down. We'll see. I've got my blocks here to help me. You could lay all the way down on the floor if it was available to you. That is a little more than I can do. So I'm going to use my blocks as kind of like a prop for myself. I've got them at 2 different levels here. One's up tall, one's at the medium level. We're going to stay here. Again, you could lay all the way down. You don't have to. You could stay completely sitting upright. Again, giving you lots of options because every body is different. And again, you guys, if you're a 2, you know how to take care of other people, but here we're going to take care of ourselves. Now, let's take a couple of moments just to breathe into the posture. Just maybe breathe in some love for ourselves today. So good at taking care of other people, so good at loving others. Let's just take a second to give a shout out to ourselves for showing our bodies some love and our minds some love. The beautiful thing about yoga too is that as you sit in a pose, you don't have to come out yet. I'm going to show you something. As you sit in a pose, you'll notice that your body starts to get more comfortable with it. So I can tell my muscles are starting to loosen up, so I'm able to go all the way down now. I couldn't have done that without the prep work on the front end and without being able to ease into it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start coming out using my hands to help me. Slowly, slowly, slowly coming out of the pose. Very gingerly. Look at how slow. No sudden movements. Awesome. What we're going to do now, come into tabletop. Woo! Maybe extend those legs and push back on those heels. Trying to counter the move that we just did with some opposite muscular work. Woo! Just like pushing back into the heel. Oh my gosh. That feels really nice. And when you're ready, maybe taking your knees as wide as your mat, sitting back for child's pose. I'm feeling the muscle shakes. I don't know about y'all. That's always a good sign. When you're ready, we're going to come back up to tabletop. We are going to take some cat-cows here. If you took any bend, we really need to give our back some love too. Breathing in, looking up, bringing the spine facing downwards, and now arching the spine away from the ground, pushing the ground away. Inhaling, cow pose. Exhaling for cat pose. Take 2 more of these on your own breath cycle. Awesome. Bringing the knees forward, crossing the shins, coming into a seat. Okay. Let's start to cool off a bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to try to explain this where you can see it. I'm going to lift up my right knee and maybe just move that leg out of the way. Bring my left knee towards the center. Right ankle is on the outside of the left knee, okay? So I've got my left knee is laying towards the ground. My left foot is on the outer edge of my right hip. My right foot is on the outside of my left knee. Now I'm going to lift my right arm, lay it across my right leg, and bring myself back towards my left shoulder for a half Lord of the Fishes twist. So again, my left hand behind me, I'm looking over the left shoulder. Let's watch our hips as well, making sure our hip isn't raised, that they're nice and neutral, making contact with the ground. Slowly coming out of the pose. Ooh, beautiful. Let's stay with our feet this way and maybe do a counter twist if you'd like. That feels really, really nice. And now we're going to take our legs, stretch it out forward ahead of us. Maybe take that right foot sole to the inside of the left leg. Bending from the hips, leaning into that left leg, moving my blocks out of the way. Walking myself back up. I'm going to get into a seat. We're now going to take the right foot towards the outer edge of the left hip. Left leg on the outside of the right knee. Left arm laying across that left shin. Lifting the chest. Turning to look over the right shoulder. Again, watching the hip. I'm preaching to the choir here. Got to make sure that we keep those hips firmly planted on the ground. And slowly coming out, leaving the legs where they are. You're welcome to take a counter twist now. We're just going to twist to the other side. And coming back out. Extending the legs. Maybe taking a little bend here if you like. And now putting the left foot on the inside, right thigh. Bending from the hips. You can make it to your shin, great. Ankle, great. Toes, great. Oh, staying here for just a moment. Walking ourselves back up, swinging the legs to the left, neutral the hips, and gently lower ourselves down. Just almost there, people. A little bit more. Go ahead and bring that right knee up towards the chest. Maybe take the left hand and pull it towards the left side of the body for a one-legged twist, extending the arm out to the right, and maybe looking at that thumb on your right hand. We're getting very twisty at the end here. I love the Enneagram 2s in my life. If you are one, or if you know one, then there's just something so special about the warmth and the hospitality, the generosity. It's almost like they know what we need before we do. So if you're a 2, you deserve this practice. You deserve, and you have earned through all your love and kindness, this opportunity to show yourself love and kindness. Slowly bringing the head back to center, bringing the knee back to center, maybe giving it one more little squeeze, and then extending it out, always with balance. Bringing the left knee to the chest, pulling it with the right hand over to the left side, maybe extending the left arm, and if available, looking out towards that left thumb. In my research and what I know of the Enneagram, 2s really just want to be known and appreciated. And so on behalf of me, a non-2, you are appreciated. I wouldn't know what I would do without the 2s in my life. You guys do a lot of work that is thankless, and people don't even see it, or if they do see it, not all the time are you appreciated for it, but I speak for the rest of us when I say that we could not do it without you guys. Bringing the knee back to center. Maybe squeezing them both into the chest. Extending the legs out. For Shavasana, we're going to let the feet fall away from each other, palms facing the ceiling. If it helps, you can tuck shoulder blades underneath the shoulder. Feel free also to use your props here by putting a blanket under the low back or under the knees, by covering with a blanket, using blocks, whatever is going to make this just very delicious and relaxing for you. And as you get settled, I invite you, if it's accessible, for you to close your eyes. Noticing now as we come into the final resting pose, if there's any residual tension that we're holding on to, any gripping, any tightness, that we just ease that tension away, that we breathe into that space and just release. Noticing any muscular gripping in the face, any tension in the jaw. Just taking a few moments of our day just to let go of those things. Starting to bring some gentle movements to the extremities, maybe little toe wiggle, or rubbing the fingers. Waking the body back up again. Fluttering the eyes open. Taking all the time you need. When ready, turning onto your side and giving yourself a hug. We all deserve a little hug now and then. This is our moment just to hug ourselves, appreciate ourselves, forgive ourselves, show ourselves a little bit of love. Again, when ready, gently bringing ourselves back to an easy seat and meeting me there. If you take nothing else from this practice, take this. You are worthy of love. Your presence is wanted in the world. Teacher in me sees the student in you, and the student in me sees the teacher in you. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.